you. Have you ever lost a deal? Have you ever lost a relationship? Have you ever lost ground? Have you ever lost a connection because your confidence was off? Well, in today's session, we're going to show you, first off, why it is you should want this. Next off, what are the things that are draining it and how you can spark this again. So we can guarantee by the end of this session, we're going to show you an exact way to regain that for yourself and why at all costs, confidence is key. So why do we want confidence? Confidence is the language of winning. When any of us steps into anything, it's almost like we know if we believe or not. I would say, put another way, confidence it's faith. When you believe in yourself, you believe what you're doing, you believe that it's good for other people, you believe that you are being true in doing it, it changes things, doesn't it? Confidence is a language of influence. Confidence is a language of sales. Everything else is just window dressing. If you're someone who wants more confidence because you want to create better results, or you want more confidence because you want a clear path and a clear vision, this session is for you. Before we jump into it, let's talk about why you're closer than you might think. So couple of definitions to look at: self-doubt and confidence. So when we talk about self-doubt is lack of confidence in oneself and one's abilities. A lack of confidence in oneself. So what is confidence? Well, confidence, as defined by the dictionary, is the feeling of belief, feeling or belief that one can rely on something or someone. There's a firm trust. There's trust, belief, faith, credence, conviction, reliance, dependence. The opposite is distrust or skepticism. So if I were to say self-confidence, you having the self-confidence really means that you have trust, belief, faith, credence, conviction in yourself. One of the biggest reasons, and we're going to go through all of the reasons or several reasons why you might be lacking this, or maybe you're not a 10 out of 10 in the world of confidence, but a big one is because you know you. Meaning you've been through everything together. You witnessed everything that you said, everything that you did. And because you've seen how crappy you can be, how low you can be, how bad you can be, and how you can break your word, you just don't trust that person. Or in another word, you don't confide in that person. So why wouldn't one confide in themselves? We'll look at some of this, but I believe one of the biggest reasons is because we are constantly canceling ourselves out. It comes from oftentimes a lack of consistency. So if you think about, where do you get trust for anyone? Who is the person you trust more than anyone in the entire world? So think about this. Think about, who would you trust with a secret? Who would you trust to tell you the truth? Who would you trust to help you out if you needed help, to bail you out of jail at 2 a.m? Who would you trust? So when you think about that person, I want to know what makes you trust them. What would make you trust them in any of those situations? The whole idea of self-confidence means you are confiding in yourself. Confiding means you are keeping a secret, or you're giving someone a secret. And the truth is that when you, as a being, go through life, you get tangled. When you get tangled, you get confused. And when you get confused, you get diffused. And when you get diffused, your strength of action starts to dissipate, which is why, by the way, I think we need other people in our lives to help us to overcome some of those things. But there's other reasons too that we lack confidence. And I think the biggest one comes from identity. I remember, it's funny how I think for me personally, sales has been one of the biggest revealers of anything about me. I remember one time I'd just gotten away from, we had this, we were selling printers, copiers, and it was supposed to be this quality. And I just sat in with a client for a month trying to get this thing to a place to where it was actually exactly what we were promising. And it never got there. And I remember the next month I had a big deal with a printer. And this printer didn't just have one of these machines, which is what the one client had. This printer had like 18 of these machines. And I've been working on this relationship for a year and a half, 2 years. And here we are, we're sitting in front of, the guy's name is Bob Otter. And as we're sitting in front of him, even though my mouth was saying, and I feel really badly that I was saying this with my mouth because my boss was there. It was what I was supposed to say. Oh yeah, our printers can do this. Even though my mouth was saying that, my insides of me was not saying that. My eyes were probably not saying that. I probably was saying, like, does this work? I'm like, oh yeah, this totally works. Even my body language was probably off. And I didn't get the deal. Actually, what happened was I got taken off the deal after I was told no. And then someone else with my boss came in and closed that deal. Why? It was something out of tune, and I knew it. My question to you is it possible for you, if you're not a 10 out of 10 in confidence right now, is it possible that you are either not taking action towards what you think you should be doing, or taking action in a different way than what is really, truly you? Especially for those of you who are entrepreneurs and you're in business development. If that's you, you will find yourself constantly in the place of the tangle, in the place of the drain. And I believe really what's happening is that we really, truthfully, you're not following God's plan for your life. You are not being the you that you really are because you're acting like that's not enough. So what is it that you're trying for? And are you trying for it so hard that you're willing to look past what's true? Norma Jean Mortensen was she had kind of a tough life. She'd been through 12 foster families. Her mother had been committed to an insane asylum when Norma Jean was young, but she had talents. As a matter of fact, she had a crazy intellect. She was brilliant at classical languages. She wanted, above all things, to become famous. And so this beautiful woman was willing to change her identity and twist it into Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn came from the name of another actress that she reminded someone else of. And Monroe was her mother's actual maiden name. She rose to stardom. Nobody would ever take her seriously. And tragically, her maintaining that trajectory, that false narrative, was a part of her taking her final breath. She swallowed a bunch of pills and said, I won't be coming down for dinner, and tell Jack I said goodbye. And she had some final words. But sadly, what was going on was she said, I'm not enough. And because the Norma Jean part of her, she'd been holding it down like a beach ball. You can only hold your true self down for so long before it wants to pop back up. The good news is, if you will allow this thing to be in front of you, if you will take it, you will see something that is enough. And so that's a big part of the message of what I would say. Your gifts, your talents, your abilities, your mind, if you will slow down right now, you're more than enough for the situation you're facing. Unfortunately, if you continue to chase after something that validates you, you're going to find emptiness. As a matter of fact, I would say the lesson of Norma Jean Mortensen is the lesson that we need to, I really believe that she, in the midst of all that, lost her ability to figure out who she was because she outsourced it to others. Sorry for the handwriting. But where does your success come from? Does it come from what others are saying about you? She loved the taste of Hollywood, and so she couldn't bear to now separate from this beautiful idol that she created. But it was exactly that. It was an idol. Because somewhere along the line, that wasn't enough. We have to, as children of God, have to be able to look at ourselves and say, enough. We have to be able to self-actualize, where we're saying, I'm not waiting on this thing to prove who I am, or that thing to prove who I am, or her, or him, or my dad, or my mom, or my teacher, or my brother, or my sister, or my boss, or any of these people to tell me who I am. I know who I am. As a matter of fact, there was another person who wanted acclaim. He wanted impact. He wanted influence. He wanted to believe that he was something. And the problem is that when we want something so badly, oftentimes it blinds us to what we really are, who we really are, what we really have. Can you imagine being filled up with so much talent that your paintings, if you were a painter, we were to gather all of your paintings together and sell them, they would sell for more than $1 billion? Can you imagine being that person and not thinking that you were special? Well, that was Vincent van Gogh. Vincent van Gogh, he just even though he was starting, he's one of the pioneers of this impressionistic movement. He never saw himself as anything special. The only person feeding him anything good was his brother, who was an art dealer. His brother would support him and help him to go, and he only sold one painting for about $2,000 in today's money. He took his own life. He couldn't bear the idea or the thought that he wasn't good. One of the reasons why professional design is so important when we look at this in the School of Professional Design is because we are all trained how to do things like other people, and that's great. Hey, paint like this person, build a business like this person, sell like this person, lead like this person, whatever it is. Yes, we do need to imitate another individual in the beginning. But eventually, we must find ourselves in the place where freedom allows us to not just imitate, but to innovate. Not just to do something old, but to find and become and do something new. Maybe life, when you're finding that you're up against this place of confidence, and I don't have confidence, it's in that moment that your soul is being asked to spark and to believe and to hope. And not outsource your value to how many paintings you've sold today, any things you've sold today, or how many people looked at you today. I mean, think about this. Again, every woman says, oh, I would be so confident if I was this person. And she literally had so little confidence, it cost her life. So what does it do for you? What can confidence do for you? Confidence, it is a language of influence. And the very first person in any sale, I'm going back to the sales world, the first person that has to be sold is you. If you're influencing people, the first person that has to believe is you. The world is waiting to see one person who knows who they are and believes who they are, and they take action like they believe that's who they are. So I'm going to show you something that is going to go a little bit contrary to what it is that you have seen. And bear with me because I have to tell this thing to share the sound. And this might pull up on the old TikTokaroo here. But this guy that I'm about to share with you his name is Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin has worked with every top artist you can think about in the music industry, from rap and R&B to heavy metal, rock, screamo, Christian music. It doesn't matter. Like, all genres go to this guy when they're trying to reconnect with their truest inner voice. And he is like the coach for artists. And so I want you to hear what Rick Rubin has to say about who we create for. And I think it might flip a little bit of where confidence can come from. So let me click on this little thing here. Hopefully I don't get an ad.
Do you ever face the inner critic of, well, what if other people don't like this?
No, I don't consider them at all.
Really?
Yeah, something I say in the book is that the audience comes last. And I believe that. I'm not making it for them. I'm making it for me. And turns out that when you make something truly for yourself, you're doing the best thing you possibly can for the audience. So much of why, if you go to the movies, so many big movies just not good. It's because they're not being made by a person who cares about it. They're being made by people who are trying to make something that they think someone else is going to like. And that's not how art works. That's something else. It's not art. That's commerce.
So what if you treated what you're doing as your creation? What if you treated what you're doing as your art? What if you treated your profession as your expression, as your lesson to the earth? Heck, maybe it could just be a lesson to your kids. Hey, do it the way dad does it. Do it the way mom does it. Do it like me. Well, does that mean that we all have to do it like follow your orders and structures? Maybe. Or maybe it has more to do with the approach of your heart. Maybe it has more to do with giving your all towards creating something that you know is good, towards creating something that you would want if you were the client or the customer or the person that you're helping. So what is that? Confidence comes from keeping promises. If someone keeps promises to you, you will trust them. The more promises they've kept and never share with anyone, the more you will trust them. We have one person here, and I need to start calling her the lockbox, because she is like, you lock it up, she turns the key, she throws away the key. Our kids tell Anna all of their secrets. And in some ways, like if she were an evil person, those secrets could give her power because now she has leverage over them or whatever. But that's not what we're going for. We're going for the person that you can tell things, that doesn't judge you, that you can trust. We're going for that person. And that person needs to be you. So how can you come to that place of more trust? I will say this: if you want to keep your promises, first off, make less promises. Make less promises. Next, make only the promises that you would like to keep. As it pertains to you, the most ideal promise to keep and make is the promise of who you are. I am. I am what? I am who? Right now, for me personally, there was a year in my life where I just wanted to become more joyful. And so my promise that I was making to myself was, I'm becoming the most joyful man I know. I will become the most joyful man I know. I will become the most joyful man I know. It was on my passwords. It was written in different areas. I would tell myself this every day. I would listen to myself on recordings, it was everywhere. And every time I was angry, mean, spiteful, a jerk, that my own voice would rise up inside of my head and say, dude, joyful. I yell at my kids, and my inner, that inner identity voice would rise up and say, dude, be joyful. And over the course of that time, the promise that I was keeping, and keeping being a present perfect tense, where I'm keeping it now, and I'm keeping it in the future, and I'm growing into keeping it. It's not something that I automatically am. It's just, I knew that when I said I am, I knew I was saying I'm becoming. So I would ask for you to find an I am, one of them, that's worth keeping right now. I am really living into personally, and I'm saying personally because I'm the one that's talking, but I want to hear if you have if you have an I am promise you'd like to keep to yourself, put into the Q&A right now. For me, I'm keeping the promise, or living into the promise, of being a treasure bringer. I want to be a literal, metaphorical treasure bringer. I want to help people to unleash the gifts inside of them towards their end goal. And so I'm trying to talk. I'm recruiting. I'm prospecting. I'm doing all of these things, and I'm doing it as a treasure bringer. And that's a promise I'm living into. And I'm trying to be that more for my kids and my grandkids. And what happens is, the moment you make the promise is the moment you look and say, oh God, I'm not really that much of a treasure bringer. So don't make a lot of promises to yourself. Find one that you want to keep, you desire to keep, and then commit to it. Commit to it. Now, for some of you, that might mean try it on and take it off. It is going to be followed by an I do, because if I am a treasure bringer, there are things that guy does. And actually, I believe all the best habits are built on that one identity. And what are all the habits you can move that would create proof that that's who you are? You want to stick to a resolution? That's you being resolute. You are being focused in on one thing, and now you have a simplified path. This has everything to do with being a professional, and it has to do with you being an empowered individual, because it's who you are. That person shows up in all the places you go to, right? How cool is that? A couple more things I want to get to you. So individually, we all have different styles. And if you feel like you've kind of been doused, I'm not going to go through the stories of these people here. These are, I may actually at the end, depending on who wants to chime in here. But I like to help people to get the spark back, because one thing that can actually happen is you can feel like you're in a dark cave. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, you can't win. It doesn't, like, you don't know how to get back to a place. And so I'm going to provide for you a way for you to spark. And sometimes it's that one spark that creates the other spark, creates the other one, and it becomes that chain reaction. And so based on your personality, this might be you. So if you are the visionary personality type, and that of course is the, I'm throwing the explorer in here as well, but that's the shaman, that is the creator, that is the, we'll say explorer, but I also feel like it's like I've put in here the optimist in here before. If that's you, I need to ungroup these things. Let me move these sparks out of the way. There we go. Your language is to inspire. So if you want spark, go find people. And by the way, you'll notice all of these things are things that you provide to other people. So it's like what you want for yourself, go give it to someone else. Go inspire someone. If you're an explorer, maybe find a way to help someone innovate. If you're a shaman, go teach someone and give meaning to them and give guidance to them. If you're a creator, go make something that feels inspirational to people, okay? If you are the strategist, and that's the ruler, that's the sage, and that is the hero. Well, if that's you, your job is to lead people. How do you lead them? Well, a sage is going to teach them. Okay, go find someone to teach, to show them the way that's going to make you feel good. If you're a ruler, go rule, meaning like you give someone a structure of what to dig into, of how to do something. Go be an authority, act like an authority. Go, talk on social media, whatever it is that you do to show that you're the boss. If you're a hero, rescue. Go find someone to rescue. Now, I'm not saying to stay in these modes, but if you want a spark, this will help you become a spark. So pioneers, you thrive in new, right? And so if you thrive in new, really, this is daring. Go dare someone. Go be daring. You be daring and go dare someone. Okay, what else? Well, If you're the innocent, go encourage someone. The innocent is also known as the optimist in our world. If you're the jester, go entertain someone. If you are the rebel, go find someone to fight. Flip the bird at someone. Go find something to resist. Find a movement to start. Okay, go get political. It's interesting. There are so many people that I know that are either rebels or rulers. They don't do anything with the energy, but they will get energy just by looking at all this political stuff. Okay, well, go get your energy, but don't stay here. Let it spark you and boom into something new. All right. If you're a connector, and a connector is it's the everyman, it's the caregiver, it's the lover, go help someone. Go connect. Maybe literally pick up the phone and call someone. Okay. If you're a caregiver, go heal someone. Okay. Heal them, help them. Well, what do you need to heal? I don't know. But go, like there's someone, think in your mind, comes to your mind, go do it. Every man, just go show up there. Go be shoulder to shoulder with someone. If you're a lover, go captivate someone's attention. Go be irresistible to someone. Make them feel like they matter. So these are some ways to provide some sparks for your personality type. But then what happens? Let me get rid of this and I'll move this back there. Well, we have to have faith with your work. Faith with work. Work, if you're going to do work without faith, it literally feels like you're disembodied, like you're going through the motions, like you're like, is this even doing anything? Have you ever done that? I remember, back to sales again, my worst day of sales. I walked into, my training was here, go pass out these flyers. I believed it didn't work. So guess what? It didn't work. And I went to the road with the most businesses, and it's almost like I was trying to prove that it didn't work. And I remember walking into all of these businesses, someone actually pulled out a gun at me and pointed at me. Other people would lock the door just as I was about to open it. It was the worst sales torture ever. And I went through, it was more than 50 doors I went into. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're traveling, you're like going from one to another, it was a lot of business doors to walk into. And then by the time I got to that last little bit, it starts raining. And I walk in like this into the last one, as though I were some slave forced into this labor. Do you think I got results? I didn't. I was an empty suit. I had no confidence. And it's almost like I was trying to, I don't know, prove that something didn't work. It was the silliest moment, in that. But I would ask you, are you doing work without faith? And how can you find an element of belief? And if you can't believe in what you're doing, maybe it's time to either you're going to go do something new or innovate what you're doing. This doesn't work anymore. What's your evidence? Well, it's not working. Here's the numbers. Great. Can I innovate? If you can innovate, change up the way you're doing it. If you cannot innovate, you need to move on. You need to call a spade a spade. I've been working with people who over the years have been, they have not reckoned with the reality that their industry or what their company provides has changed. They've not changed with the landscape. And so what's happened is they've been holding on, and then we'll drain our account. And so they drain their account, and then they start to use their credit cards, and they dip into their credit cards, and then they take out an equity line of credit, and they start to cash in on their mortgage. And what happens is they're holding for something to change, but deep down they don't believe it will change. If you can't find that deep down belief, move on, because work done without faith is going to cost you. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. Okay. Find something you can do, and you can do it with belief. I know we went through this story a little bit last week, but the whole idea is sowing. And the easiest way to look at it, and listen, I believe in this stuff. This is what faith looks like. This is a painting done by ChatGPT of the woman, the only woman that Jesus extolled walking into the temple. She was in the treasury, and she was giving, here we go. She was giving a couple of these things right here. This is a mite. It's the lowest denomination of money. And she was giving it. She was giving it from love. She was giving it from hope. She was giving it towards what she loved. Now, here's the thing. You and me, when we see what we're stepping towards, we're going to talk ourselves out of it. We're going to say, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough. And the truth is, you have enough right now to take action, to create what it is that you want. You might not have all of the ingredients, but you have something. The problem is that we let the bigness of our mountain take away from the smallness of the effort that we can do. But my friend, that's where God steps in. God can take the 2 mites and multiply them. A couple of other instances in the Bible. There was a woman that the prophet visited. She had just a little bit of flour, a little bit of oil, and it was about to run out. She's going to make one cake for her and her son and then die. The prophet said, make me one first. She did. And the oil kept coming back, and it kept coming back. It kept coming back. When you take what you have and you apply it towards what you desire, somehow it multiplies. Somehow God meets you and partners with you in what we're doing. The 2 loaves and 5 fish, or maybe it was 5 loaves and 2 fish. I can't, whichever one it was, those were not enough for a mountain full of people. But when it was applied in that direction, multiplication happened. And so if you feel like you're in a place to where you're being squeezed, you're not enough, maybe it's actually the time where your soul wants to come alive. And you just want to say, I am. And you want to break out of what you've had to be. You want to break out of the Marilyn Monroe and go into the Norma Jean. Maybe there's something you've been hiding. Maybe you haven't been truthful with yourself or honest with the rest of us. Maybe it's time to invest in that. So what is the promise that's worth keeping? And I would ask that even, what's the promise that's worth keeping, even if it fails? Your reality and my reality are no different. We're called to do something great. And the only way we do that is by stretching sometimes so thin that what we have to offer doesn't feel like enough, but we give it anyway. And it multiplies and becomes a little bit more, and we give it again. And it multiplies and becomes a little bit more, and we're tempted to eat it, but we sow it again, because the lifestyle of the person who's doing what they're called to do is worth it. That's the only work worth doing. I'm going to end right here, and then we're going to jump into anything that you have, right? Do what you can with what you have, where you are. You are enough. You have enough. Take action from faith. Find a way to believe.